soft white skin beneath your claws. Your barbs no longer draw applause. Just blood, just blood, just blood. Just blood, just blood, just blood. Time and time and time again, you put me through your awful pain. It's blood, it's blood, it's blood. It's blood, it's blood, it's blood. No more applause. Your claws seem to draw. Time and again, just blood. It won't heal by dealing style. When will you ever grow up? Your blood, your blood, your blood. 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 Oh yeah.
Tom Tikka, the Impersonators. Hey, everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen over 35 podcast platforms on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here. We just heard a very wonderful tune from Tom Tikka of the Impersonators. He out of Finland here, and of course, he also was a former Sony recording artist, and formerly with Karna Gray of Finland. And this group sounds similar to REM, the Psychedelic Furs, Crowded House. If you appreciate the 80s, and of course, you can go back in time. Yeah, this is the music for you. So, live, ladies and gentlemen, from beautiful Finland on the other side of the pond in his wonderful home studio, ladies and gentlemen, the Impersonators, Tom Tikka. Tom, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. So tell us, what was that song that you just did, and actually what inspired you to write the song?
Well, that's one of the oldest Impersonators tracks. There actually there is. I'm not sure if it's the oldest, probably the second oldest. A lot of the stuff that Antti and I wrote in the early days, and this is way back in 2012, 2013 when we started the band or the duo, never really got released properly. There are acoustic demos of them, or well, not all of them are acoustic, but some sort of demos, very rudimentary anyway. and Blood's one of them. It's a song that I always, whenever I play that song, I'm always thinking that I should probably do a proper version of it. But I never get around to it because there's always a new track. And that's one of the bad things about leaving a certain song and not doing it when you write it, because then it's very, very difficult to go back and pick it up and actually record it when you got a bunch of new ones that you just basically fallen in love with. But this being on the show today, Mike, gave me a good opportunity to basically give you guys an acoustic rendition of Blood. So I mean, it's revisited, unplugged. Right?
It sounds like you did a great job of Blood too. And before we get to your other music, you're going to play something else for you. Have a new song called Cloud 9. You previously did Circus. And before we get into all that, tell us how you got started career-wise in music.
Well, that's a long story. I started writing songs when I was 6, 7. And then got my first recording contract that really didn't amount to anything when I was 16. Carmen Gray came around when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and then after that band disbanded, Antti and I got around to forming the Impersonators, and so the Impersonators was a bit of a it was a completely different project from Carmen Gray. Carmen Gray recorded for big labels, and we didn't have a recording contract when we started. And so basically, I had some very, very, very basic recording equipment, an old 4-track in my living room, a bunch of chords, bunch of bad instruments at that point, at least instruments that left a lot to be hoped for. and so we started from my living room, and Impersonators was always as a group of 2 songwriters rather than a group of 4 or 5 musicians. And so from the get-go, the idea was that Antti writes the lyrics, I write the melodies, and I record everything. And so basically that's where the name comes from. And I'm sort of impersonating each member of our imaginary rock group one by one.
And you did a really good job at it too, by the way. And what was that one moment that influenced you into singing and also songwriting, being a guitarist and a multi-talented musician as a career once and for all? What was that aha moment that basically said, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life as a career?
Well, it's twofold. The first spark I got when I was my dad had music on in the car everywhere. I mean, he was a music fanatic. He bought Paul Anka's greatest hits when I was 6, and I heard the song Lonely Boy in my dad's Chevrolet when we went to get gas, and I stayed in the car when he went to pay. Those days you didn't pay at the pump. People trust you.
The old service man. I remember that, where it's like you just come in and service with a smile, do your window, check your
that was
fill windshield wiper fluid. You know what? I miss those days, to be honest.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, they were great days. But I mean, that was the first. I listened to Lonely Boy, and I was 6 at the time. I realized that I was sort of understanding the music further than my dad did, because I wanted to talk about Lonely Boy with him, and he had no idea. I had really no vocabulary, because I noticed that the double-tracked vocals, which were really, really cool. That was the first time ever I heard that sound. And the song is just fantastic. It's got the Latin rhythm and sort of a Latin influenced melody, but it's really a pop tune nevertheless. And the second, that really got me started. When we got home, I asked my dad to give me the tape, and I got the tape. I had a cassette player in my room, and I played the heck out of that. Must have listened to the tape, I don't know, hundreds of times. And that's when I decided I want to be a songwriter. I want to write songs, because Paul Anka was writing his own songs, and I obviously in those days you didn't have Google, but I went to the local library and I got a book that sort of briefly mentioned Paul Anka and gave a brief history of the guy. And then the next even more sort of a important, I guess, moment was when I was introduced to the Beatles and by my dad, and we took me to the movies. They had a rerun of Hard Day's Night. And I watched the movie, and the Beatles are running away from female fans who are screaming and, chasing them. And then I was in my early teens at that time, and I realized that, that's not a bad job at all. I want to do these, and that was the...
You mean play music or getting chased by females? Which
Getting
one?
chased by chicks, yeah. I wanted to do both. Obviously, when you get, you realize that, chicks dig music and songwriters. It's always been the case. And so, that was the pull in my teens. But obviously, when you go down that road and you learn to write some more and you start cutting records, you realize that, man, I'm actually pretty good at this. Then what happens is that all that sort of you forget why you wanted to be a pop star or wanted to try to be a pop star. You just start focusing on the music, and that's what happened to me. And sort of music became obsession is a bad word. It's got a negative connotation. But if you can just for a moment take out the negative in your mind, then it'd be fair to say that music became a positive obsession for me. Mm-hmm. And my dad always said that, if you wait for an inspiration, you're never gonna get around to writing great songs. And so his advice to me was write a song a day, and that's what I've been doing ever since I was 16. I write one song a day.
And that's very true. Also, it's like, not just a positive obsession, but also passion as well, too. That's what I thought of. And since we're on the subject of the Beatles, who's your favorite Beatle and why?
That's hard to answer. John's my favorite Beatle, but it's kind of, when I was growing up, it was always John Lennon, and still is. I think that there's certain warmth in what he's doing, and how he really like Bob Dylan. If you listen to these guys, it seems like they're just singing to you. They get very close to you with their vocals and their delivery. It's like they're in the room with you. So there's something, intimacy, I guess. But having said that, though, I've come to understand and realize that if you take any Beatle record, Paul McCartney is such a huge part of the overall sound, even if we don't consider his songs, which are fantastic, Mm-hmm. But in terms of the sound of the Beatles, McCartney is all over the place in harmonies. It's very difficult nowadays for me to choose between those two. But in terms of production values, being a producer, being a musician, Paul McCartney, obviously, Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys is basically in the same.
And of course, who are some of your other favorite artists and musicians and singers and guitarists growing up besides Paul Anka and the Beatles?
Well, the Stones, the Aerosmith, the Beach Boys were a big influence because that was my dad's favorite group. That's where the harmonies come from. My dad and I, he taught me the Beach Boys harmonies, and one of the cool things. I haven't really, in Burning Blue, you have the sort of in the middle eight, you have the Beach Boys. You've got the parts. You got Mike Love doing the boom boom, but it's sort of, we pushed it to the not to the back burner of the production, but you have to listen to it to hear it. One of the cool things is that I'm going to release a solo single now in a couple of weeks, actually, and there's a song called What's Love, and that's basically, it's got full-blown Beach Boys harmonies in it. And so now that I'm not doing the Impersonators, I can do sort of a little bit, things that sound like other groups.
We'll talk about your previous releases and your upcoming one in just a minute. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download the Listen to Mike Wagner Show over 35 podcast platforms on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with Tom Tikka of the Impersonators from Finland here on the Mike Wagner Show. Before we get to some of your previous music, some of your works, and your latest coming up as well, too, this just came to mind. You mentioned about the Beach Boys so much, being one of the influences. And what were your thoughts on Pet Sounds, their legendary album?
I think it's incredible. It's absolutely, it's a beautiful album. Paul McCartney once said in some interview that, I don't remember which one, but he said that he bought a copy of Pet Sounds to all his children.
Wow.
Because that was their musical education as far as he was concerned. I agree with him. It's an incredible album. I think that it's not an album. I mean, you have to understand music to be really brutally honest here, and you have to understand music to appreciate it, because it's not a very easy album to get into. I remember when I listened to it when I was 10 or 11, I didn't get it at all.
And of course, it depends on a level as well, too. I try listening to it at such a young age like you did, and I'm like, what's so special about it? And then you grow up, get more involved in music, and you listen, you do research, and you're like, it's mind-blowing. It's just amazing. And of course, now the question is, it's like, will there ever be another album out there that is like Pet Sounds, or is it going to be better than Pet Sounds by anybody? You know, the way music's running these days.
Well, I mean, it's kind of difficult to say. First off, I think a lot of people would say it depends on your taste in music. But I don't think you can do better than Pet Sounds. I think it'd be impossible, to be honest with you. It'd be like topping Mozart. But I mean, I think you can make an album that is as good, meaning you can make a perfect album.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's kind of funny though, because here we are, you and I, talking about Pet Sounds, and if I a lot of my kids are listening to music that's a lot different, a lot more simple. It's kind of difficult because I think Beach Boys had Pet Sounds, they had wonderful moments. I think Friends is a beautiful album. Holland is an incredibly good album. Sunflower. They had these artsy albums, but they also had they also played the radio game for quite a few years, as did the Beatles and the other. All of these groups that released these phenomenal albums. You have an LA group called Love that released Forever Changes and Zombies, Odyssey, and Oracle. But all of them, they didn't start with those albums. Those albums, the mind-blowing stuff that we keep referring to, that came later. And so I think that everybody starts out putting out pop songs that are accessible, and then when you get famous enough, which is the case with all these groups, then you can actually play around with ideas and
but
of course, I think as good as you can release albums that are as good. Hard to top those.
Also, another one that came to mind, we're talking about the Beatles and Beach Boys in terms of production. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band had to be an epic as well, too, along with Rubber Soul. I was watching an interview on that, and they actually took like the reel-to-reel tape and just spun it around like pencils, baseball bats, and holes, and anything they get a hold of just to get certain sounds. And you look at this like, how did they do that, and how they come up with this?
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing because nowadays you have the you have Pro Tools right there on your screen. It's easy to make edits. In those days it wasn't. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is an incredible album. I don't think it's as good as Revolver, but that's a matter of taste. I like the new mix though, the one that was released a couple of years ago, done by George Martin's son. I think it clarified a lot of things, and it fixed a lot of the editing errors that especially the stereo version had. But it's a beautiful album. Once again, another one of those that's going to be very hard to top.
And of course, you also got some great music coming up as well, too. And how'd you like to play another song for us?
Yeah, sure. I'll play a song. I'll play a bit of an obscure choice. Actually, I've got the lyrics here. This has got to be one of the. This is a song that we will not get around to releasing. Antti and I started writing these. We started the whole idea was to produce acoustic music, and so these we did quite a few of these blues songs, and this one's called Goldfish Blues. It's one of my favorite Antti Autio lyrics, actually, and it's a song that's very quaint. I love it. I mean, but yeah, well, all right. My woman drive me crazy. She keep me up all night. My woman drives me crazy. She keep me up all night. I try to get some sleep. I try to get some sleep, oh yeah. But that woman, she wants to start a pillow fight. I told her in the morning, this is where I draw the line. I done told her in the morning, there's a limit to feeling fine. She done stir-fried my goldfish. Ain't nothing left of my deep dish, oh yeah. About that woman, I told that woman, this is where old Tom resigned. She done nothing but complain. Nothing but complain. If she don't stop now, man, I'm gonna hide my hearing aid. Got a mean old woman. She don't think I paid my dues. That's right, man. Got a mean old woman. She don't think I paid my dues. Ain't no way to please her. Ain't no way to tease her, oh yeah. Well, that woman, I gotta tell you, that woman, she put razors in my shoes.
That was good. I love it. Deep dish. I love that. Made me think of pizza. I think that's got to get recorded, but you first heard the Mike Wagner Show. It made me think of Eric Clapton's Before You Accuse Me. You almost sound like Eric Clapton, that one, the way you played. Amazing.
Thanks, man.
Oh, my God.
I remember when Antti sent me the lyric, I remember reading it on my cell phone. And I was on the bus and I started laughing, and it was clear that as soon as I got home, I'd write the melody to the song. I mean,
oh, that's
it's pretty cool.
All right, we'll get to some of your other music along, talking about your latest. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable, customized designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, over 35 podcast platforms. And take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device like this one. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with Tom Tikka of the Impersonators from Finland here on the Mike Wagner Show, just putting on a really good show for us. And we're talking about some of your previous music, and coming up, the latest one you've got released or about to be released on all the major platforms. Let's talk about some of your previous work like Circus, Sad Cafe, Broken Snow, and more. And you can tell us about those songs, and if you have a EP as well too, you can talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, those are all of the songs you mentioned. The Sad Cafe EP. Broken Snow is my favorite Impersonators track for probably for quite a few reasons. Yeah, I wrote the I wrote the lyrics of the chorus in Paris. I was vacationing there with my wife a few years back, and we were lighting up to the Eiffel Tower, It was a beautiful summer's day, very, very warm. And there was this street vendor, rather shady looking. It's one of those guys that he crawled out of a trash can somewhere, and wasn't very
Don't buy this. Want to buy this?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, you got the idea. But actually, the product that he was selling was rather cool. Like, he was selling necklaces and earrings that were shaped like broken snowflakes.
Uh-huh.
And that's what he said they are, the broken snowflakes. But he was a creepy guy. He kept going from person to person, asking these weird questions like, "Is your broken heart kind?" And is your heart out of time? I mean, people probably would have bought those earrings, but I mean, this wasn't a guy that you wanted to stop and talk to. There was the element of you've been in these situations, the element of concern that perhaps he stays here and just doesn't move on, and then I got to talk to him for the 2 hours that I'm lining up to the Eiffel Tower.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I started thinking in terms of, is your broken heart kind? I thought, what a fantastic question, because I don't know what he meant. It might have been high, to be honest with you, but to me, I started thinking, my interpretation of all the questions that he kept asking is that we get burned by life, not necessarily in our 20s. When you're in your 20s, everything's easy. I think love is not a complex emotion. I mean, all of us, we've been there. We've been in love in our early 20s, and that our heart isn't really damaged. But as you grow up and you mature and you go through bad relationships and ultimately some of us divorce, go through a divorce, then you get scarred. Whether you want it or not, you like it or not, you get scarred. And I think in terms of your heart gets broken, if your heart gets broken enough times, I think that it affects your ability to trust people. And so that's how I started. That's how I interpreted what he was asking: is your broken heart kind? So if you're not able to trust people, and if you don't give people the benefit of the doubt, you're too scared and too wounded, obviously there's the element of your heart not being kind enough, because it'll ultimately affect your behavior and how you treat people. And so that's how the idea of broken snow came about. And then that's where it originated. And then Antti sent me the rest of the lyrics. I had the lyrics of the chorus, which were basically the lines that this guy was saying. Mm-hmm. And obviously another reason why it's a very special song to me is that we didn't know it at the time, but my wife was pregnant with our first kid, and so she was awfully tired lining up to the Eiffel Tower. We were wondering what's going on, but it was a very special vacation for us. We had just met. We were in love, very much in love, in a very wonderful place in our relationship. We still are, but that was the first rush, and I'll never forget that. And so I think that's also one of the reasons why Broken Snow is always going to be my favorite Impersonators track. Maybe a third one, I'll say this real quick. Janne Sachs, our producer, did a fantastic job. I told him that I want this to sound like Phil Spector, the Beach Boys record. And I think that if you listen to the gospel choirs at the end and the string arrangement and everything, it really does sound like Motown a bit, and he did a fantastic job. I just love it.
It sounds like it too. And also Circus as well too, from the Sat Cafe release. And tell us more about that one.
Circus.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that I wrote, I was a few years ago, I think that I was going through a phase where I complained a lot about life. I didn't really make any changes, but I just complained. It's very easy to fall into the habit of going around and being a grumpy old guy. I just, instead of changing your life for the better, you just go from person to person and you dump your bad feelings on them. It sounds fair, right? But anyway, I was walking downtown Helsinki one day, and there was this street musician who was actually rather good. He was playing Beatle tunes, by the way. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped and listened. He was from Britain, and really dirt poor, you could tell. And out of job, he had come to Helsinki after a girl, that he hadn't found, but he had met in. It was sort of had met in London, and it was a weird story. Had nothing, and that's why he was playing the streets. But he was very, very happy. Had no complaints, no regrets, nothing. And here I was having just being, I don't know, just had everything, and supposedly was very, was a bit unhappy. I started feeling very guilty, talking to him, because I realized that perhaps happiness comes from within, and these guys certainly had it, and so that the circus became started taking shape after that meeting. I used the word circus as a metaphor. I felt that my life had become a bit of a circus, if you will, a bit crazy with tons of kids running around. It was hectic, going to work, getting music done. Seemed there was no time to relax, and I was busy all the time. Most of the time, I was unhappy a bit, but as I started writing the lyrics of the song, that became sort of autobiographical, but also the guy was the guy from England, Sussex. That's where he's from. I'm not from there. And so it became a bit of a mash of all of that, and that's basically what circus is about. It's about deciding that I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to say goodbye to all the toxic and bad feelings and things that don't work, that are currently in my life, that I want to get rid of, and that's really what the song is about. So Goodbye Circus is basically me saying that goodbye circus, I'm going to be happy from now on. Sorry I created you,
And they're not the monkeys, and it's not the circus. That's the thing. They're not my monkeys, so take them out. I think that's what the thing is. Yeah,
that's basically, yeah.
Exactly. And of course, we'll get to your we'll talk about your latest one as well too, Cloud 9, by you guys, the Impersonators, as well too. We're going to play the audio version of it at the end of the show, and of course, we'll have the audio version of the Mike Wagner Show. And tell us more about Cloud 9, and maybe you can just play just a bit of it or something. Would you like to do that? Just play a bit of Cloud 9?
Yeah, sure. I can play Cloud 9. It's a difficult song to play acoustically, but I'll give it a stab. Yeah, Cloud 9. Cloud 9. Well, circus got me on this on this path of self-reflection. I think I realized that I had issues that I hadn't dealt with, and so little by little, instead of sorry, instead of talking people's ears off, I decided that I'll go do something that I've never even considered doing, which was basically I found my way to the shrink's office. That was the first time in my entire life that I went to see a psychiatrist because my dad was alpha, very, very much an alpha male, and going to a psychiatrist wasn't really an option for him, and as far as he was concerned, not an option for anybody who came from him. But then I started thinking that perhaps because people were saying very complimentary things about a few psychiatrists, and I thought that maybe I'll pop in and see them and have a bit of a chat, a chin wag, and I went and I found out that it actually it's a very powerful concept if you just open up, which takes a while. But Cloud 9 was born after one of those sessions that we had, and we came to the conclusion, or I came to the conclusion, that I've always been the so-called designated driver in every relationship that I've ever had, friendship or romantic or what have you. I've always been the guy who, if somebody doesn't like something I'm doing, I'm always saying that, okay, so forget that. How's this? It's sort of placing other people's happiness before your own is basically what I've done my entire life. And as soon as I realized that, maybe some of the bad feelings that I had dealt with ever since I was in my late teens, maybe that's one of the reasons. And when I started driving home from the shrink's office, Cloud 9, the idea of the lyrics in the chorus, that's basically when the chorus, the words of the chorus were born.
Mhm.
And if you listen to it, it's like, if the sun doesn't shine, I'll make it shine for you, whatever. Then that's my role. I just wanted to be honest. That's what I've always done with people. If people are in a bad mood, I'll go in and say that, don't worry about it, it'll be fine. What can I do?
Right, exactly. And I think you're doing a really good job of it as well, too. And of course, we'll play the audio version of it at the end of the show. And for those who are watching the Mike Wagner Show on video, if you want to hear the song Cloud Nine, you can go to the audio version as well, too. And maybe just get a taste of what to expect from Cloud Nine.
All right. You want me to play the whole song, or?
It's up to you. You can do the whole song, part of it. I mean, I'm gonna give it your call here.
All right. The Cloud Nine, it's funny because the way I wrote it was I wrote it as a Latin type of song. It became very sort of Beatlesque pop, But anyway, this is probably this is what it sounded like originally. Baby, I want you by my side at the sunset of my life, when memories and plans have all been made, and daytime turns to grayest evening shade. All that's left is you and I, we never fade. If you way down low, I'll try to give you a smile. If you way down low, we'll be alone for a while. If you way down low, I'll make you realize that we're on cloud nine, baby. I want you by my side when the dark is riding high, standing on the precipice of life. I would follow you to our demise, two lovers on the moon, of me and you. If you way down low, I'll try to give you a smile. If you way down low, we'll be alone for a while. If you way down low, make you realize the stars will align. If you way down low, I'll bring you sunny skies. If you way down low, I'll try to melt the ice. If you way down low, make you realize that we're on cloud nine. Avalanches come, but we are immune, walking hand in hand, love letters in the sand. Oh, love letters in the sand. Oh. If you way down low, I'll try to give you a smile. If you way down low, we'll be alone for a while. If you way down low, I'll make you realize the stars will align. If you way down low, I'll bring you sunny skies. If you way down low, I'll try to melt the ice. If you way down low, make you realize that we're on cloud nine.
That's fantastic. Cloud Nine from the Impersonators, Tom Tikka and the Mike Wagner Show. Big thank you for playing that, and you've been fantastic. Look forward to again soon. And of course, we'd love to have you back on sometime 2020 and beyond. And before we go here, where can we find all your music?
Well, I think you can go to Spotify, Apple Music, all the streaming platforms, and you'll have our music there. I think the best way to find everything is to go to our web pages, because it's got a link to our social media, all our music. If you go to Google and type in impersonatorsmusic.com, you'll find the website. Mm-hmm. It's got our bio. It's got some of the interviews. I've not the very latest ones. We've been doing too many of them lately to be updating the web pages, but But some of the older ones are there, and they're rather good. And, you can probably find everything that you want to or need to or know about the band in those on those pages. And so go to the website. It basically has everything.
And what are your upcoming plans for 2020 and beyond?
Well, the next Impersonators single is already done. It came back from mastering already last week. It's a song called Rodeo, and that'll come out in September or August, late August, early September. So the Impersonators are going to take a bit of a break, and in the meantime, I'll release some of the songs that I've written over the years that weren't quite right for the Impersonators or Carmen Gray. And there's going to be an EP out called Working Class Voodoo that has 3 songs, and that'll come out in late May.
Okay. All right. Well, looking
25th, I think.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it as well, too. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Biggest influence, I think that the really my dad, because he was the one who he introduced me to music. He played music. Every Friday when he came home, he took his shoes off, went to the kitchen, poured himself a stiff drink, and then soon after that, he'd hunt me down, bring me downstairs. We'd start listening to records. That's when all the records came out. We listened. I mean, he introduced me to CCR, Led Zeppelin. My dad was very much, actually, he even as an older dude, he was the first one in the house to buy a Guns N' Roses album.
Oh,
and so he was, yeah. I mean, he was listening to, he was very much checking out what's happening in music. And so, I mean, he basically, he got me on the right path in terms of songwriting, and set goals for me when I was too young to set those for myself. And so it's, that's basically, it's an easy question to answer. In terms of the musicians that influenced me the most, I think that in terms of music, I think the 2 groups really, the Beatles and the Beach Boys, and if there's a third one, then the Byrds, especially Gene Clark of the Byrds.
Mm-hmm. Those are amazing as well, too. A big Bird fans as well, too. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
I'm sorry, we got.
I'm sorry. I guess we broke up here. What's the best advice you give to anybody at this point?
I'm sorry. It's still
the best.
Can you repeat?
The best advice
anybody's ever given. Well, yeah. Somebody once said that read all contracts and have lawyers look at them before you sign them. That's the best advice I've been given in terms of music. And I didn't do that to begin with, and I do it nowadays. and the fact, if you don't do it, you get into a whole lot of trouble. In terms of life, the best advice really, my dad had this phrase that, he always said that life starts again tomorrow. In terms of, you have tomorrow's a new day and whatever, but he always had this habit of saying that life starts again tomorrow, as if it's some sort of a rebirth. And obviously it is, it's a clean slate. Mm-hmm. That's what I keep telling my kids.
And that's very important as well, too. Once again, Tom Tikka, the Impersonators, thank you very much for your time. You've been fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. I'd like to have you back sometime 2020 and beyond. Before we go, once again, tell us about your upcoming projects, what's your website, how do people contact you, where can people purchase or listen to your music?
That's a good question. Like I said, so we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our web pages are, if you go to Google and type in impersonatorsmusic.com, you'll find our web pages. In terms of where to buy our stuff, I think it's in pretty much all the stores online. We haven't released a physical CD. We're aspiring to do that, but we haven't gotten around to that yet.
That's fantastic. Tom, a big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Looking forward to having you soon. Do us a favor, keeps us up to date. Love to have back on 2020 and beyond. You've been fantastic.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on the show. This has been great fun.